I don't know if it's only me or what, but then I found myself asking myself, why am I still stuck? So it makes me to want to ask you something that have you ever looked at your life and thought, man, I know I'm capable of more than this because of I think a lot of us have been there. You have dreams, you have ideas. You know there's something inside you that you're supposed to do, but somehow you keep finding yourself in the same place. And then you start asking yourself, what's wrong with me? Maybe nothing's wrong with you. Maybe you have been carrying the wrong mindset for so long that you started believing it was your identity. Think about that for a second. How many times have you told yourself, I can't do this? I don't have enough money. I'm not educated enough. I'm too far behind. Other people have opportunities that I don't have. Or maybe I'll start tomorrow, and tomorrow becomes the next week. The next week becomes the next month. And before you know it, years have passed. I'm sure all of us have been there. I'm not saying this to judge you because of I've had moments where I've had to look at myself and ask myself uncomfortable questions too. And one of those questions is this: am I really stuck? Or have I convinced myself that I'm stuck? Because those are two completely different things. Sometimes our circumstances are genuinely difficult. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that everything is just about having a positive mindset. Life is real. Bills are real. Unemployment is real. Rejection is real. Disappointment is real. People out there can hurt you. Relationships can destroy you and can destroy your confidence. And sometimes you can work hard and still not see results immediately. But here's where the conversation gets interesting. Even when you can't control everything happening around you, there is still something you can control, of which it's your response, your thinking, your decision, your next move. And I think that's where faith comes into the conversation because of faith isn't pretending that everything is perfect. Faith is looking at your situation and saying, I may not understand everything that's happening right now, but I refuse to believe that this is the end of my story. And that is totally different. So you can be afraid and still move on. You can be uncertain and still move on. You can have very little and still start with what you have. And sometimes I wonder if we spend so much time asking God to change our circumstances that we forget to ask Him to change us because of maybe the first thing that needs to change isn't your bank account. Maybe it's your thinking or my thinking. And in the Bible, I think it's Romans chapter 12, where it talks about the renewing of the mind. And that idea is powerful because of your life can change when your way of thinking begins to change. But let me ask you something. What are you telling yourself every day? What are you saying about yourself when nobody's around? Are you constantly telling yourself that you're behind, that you're not good enough, that you'll never make it, that your past has already decided your future? Because of if you keep repeating something long enough, eventually you stop questioning it. You just believe it. And that's dangerous because of sometimes the prison isn't around you. Sometimes the prison is in your mind. And I'm not saying that to make light of what you're going through. I'm saying it because of I want you to understand questioning the things you have accepted as permanent. Maybe you made mistakes. Okay, who hasn't? Maybe you lost years. It's still okay. You can't go back and collect those years, obviously. But you can decide what you're going to do with the years ahead. Maybe somebody rejected you. Maybe somebody told you that you would never become anything. Maybe somebody walked away from you. Maybe you failed at something you really believed would work. But why should someone else's opinion become the prophecy over your life? Think about that. Who told you that your story has to end where your worst experience happened. And it doesn't. And I think sometimes we're waiting for motivation when what we actually need is a decision. You don't always feel motivated before you start. Sometimes you start and motivation comes later. You take the first step, then another, and suddenly you realize, wait a minute, I'm actually moving. That's what I want you to think about after this conversation. Not your entire life, not everything that went wrong, not everything you still need to fix, just your next step. What is one thing you can do? Maybe it's learning a skill, maybe it's applying for that opportunity, maybe it's starting that business, maybe it's creating that YouTube channel you have been talking about for months. Maybe it's getting serious about your relationship with God. Maybe it's walking away from something that has been destroying your peace. Maybe it's simply getting up tomorrow and deciding that you're going to spend another day speaking like not you're going. You are not going to spend another day speaking negatively about yourself. Whatever it is, I think you should start. And no, I'm not saying it's going to be easy. I'm not promising you that everything will suddenly work out. I'm not telling you that if you believe hard enough, you'll never struggle again. That's not reality. It's an illusion. I'm sure for you too, you know. What I'm saying is that you can stop surrendering your future before you have even given yourself a chance. And maybe that's the real conversation we need to have. Are you actually failing, or are you just in the middle of the process? Because of there's a huge difference. Sometimes you're not being buried, you're being built. Sometimes the season feels like punishment, but it's actually a preparation. And sometimes you don't understand the lesson until you look back later. So I want you to sit with this question. If fear wasn't controlling your decision, what would you do? Seriously, if you knew nobody would laugh at you, nobody would judge you, nobody would reject you, what would you start? What would you change? Where would you go? Who would you become? And maybe that answer is telling you something. Maybe there's a reason that idea keeps coming back to you. Maybe there's something you have been avoiding. Maybe it's time to stop waiting for the perfect moment because of the perfect moment might never come. You may have to start while you're scared. You may have to start while you're broke. You may have to start while people don't believe in you. You may have to start before you feel ready, but start anyway. And as you move, keep your faith, pray, learn, work, and make mistakes. Adjust, get back, and then keep going. Because of faith and action don't have to fight each other. You can trust God and still work. You can pray and still plan. You can believe and still take responsibility. And maybe that's what somebody listening to me right now needed to hear. You're not finished. Your past is not your entire identity. Your current situation is not necessarily your final destination, and you don't need to have everything figured out. You just need to take the next step. So when this conversation ends, don't just say, that was a good podcast. Ask yourself, what am I going to do differently? Because of information without action changes nothing. And I don't want this to be another episode you listen to and you feel motivated for 10 minutes and then forget about it. I want you to actually do something, even if it's small. Take that step, and then tomorrow take another one, because of eventually those small steps become movement, and movement can become transformation. So let me leave you with this. Maybe you're not as stuck as you think you are. Maybe you have been standing still for so long that you forgot what it feels like to move. It's time to move. And wherever you are right now, start there.